October is almost here, and buckle up, folks, because this month is unlike anything Social Security has seen in years. We're talking 6 different paydays, the end of paper checks forever, 2 deposits hitting some people's bank accounts that are already sparking chaos online, and fresh warnings about overpayments and cuts that could slash your benefits without warning. And of course, we're also hearing about Social Security increases for some. And while the headlines scream confusion, I've actually got the real insider fixes that you need so that you don't fall into the traps, okay? Now, hit the like button and subscribe if you appreciate the updates. I'm going to go ahead and walk you through every single October pay date by the exact date, explain the truth behind those so-called 2 checks, and also give you the step-by-step insider answers that most people are going to miss out on. So here's the twist. While everyone else is panicking about shutdowns and rumors, I want to show you how to protect your money and even uncover some overlooked benefits that could put hundreds of dollars back into your wallet. So if you happen to rely on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, survivor, or spousal benefits, drop a quick Social Security in the comments down below. If you're getting Social Security, hit Social Security. If you're getting SSI, punch in, type in SSI. If you're getting SSDI, type in SSDI. Anyway, so by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what is changing, what's at risk, and how to stay ahead while millions of others are left being blindsided. All right, so let's get this straight. October 2025 is not business as usual. It's not. This is not just another month where you wait for your check to quietly hit your bank. No. This is a month where the rules have shifted, the timelines are different, and millions of Americans could be blindsided if they don't pay attention. Now, if you happen to know someone who's getting Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or about to start or apply, you definitely want to share this video with them because this applies to those who are applying for Social Security and those who are receiving, and they may not get this information until it's too late. Now, while the internet's drowning in all sorts of clickbait, screaming that everything's collapsing or that you're magically going to get double money, what you're about to hear are the real fixes from someone who's seen how the Social Security Administration actually works, okay? So pay close attention because a single mistake this month could cost you your bills, your groceries, possibly even your home. So as of September 30th, the paper check era is dead. It's finished, gone forever. Now, if you've been clutching that paper envelope every month, well, I'm here to tell you it won't be showing up in October. From here on out, it is direct deposit or the direct express debit card. And if you don't make that transition, well, you're playing with fire because scammers are already out there. They're preying on confused seniors, promising to help you switch over only to drain your benefits the second that they get access. Be careful. Do not fall for the scams. But here's the insider fix. If you're one of the few people who still needs an exemption, it does exist. You can apply through the Treasury, but you've got to do it fast, okay? Do not wait until your check bounces because you assume that the paper would show up like it always does. This is where preparation separates the safe from the blind side, okay? So don't get caught in the middle. Now, let's talk about the dates because this is where anxiety really kicks in. October is not just one payday, it's actually 6 paydays, 6 different deposit days scattered across the month. And if you don't know exactly where you land, well, you're in for a stressful ride. Now, here's how it breaks down. If you're on SSI, your first payment comes Wednesday, October 1st, but that's not all. You'll also see another deposit on Friday, October 31st. Now that second one isn't free money. Be careful. It's November's check arriving early because November 1st falls on a Saturday. Now, if you're receiving Social Security since before May 1997, or if you're someone who gets both SSI and Social Security, your check drops on Friday, October 3rd. Now, for everybody else, it's your birthday. October 8th, if you're born the 1st through the 10th, October 15th, if you're born between the 11th and the 20th, October 22nd, if you're born between the 21st and the 31st of the month. So mark your date, circle it on the calendar, set an alert on your phone because I've seen what happens when people assume that their check's going to come sometime this week. Rent bounces, credit card fees pile up, utilities get cut off. You don't want to have to deal with any of that. And in October, with 6 different payment dates, the margin of error is razor thin. Now, most people think that their Medicare plan is good enough. But here's the truth, guys. Good enough is costing retirees thousands of dollars every single year. So this is why I partner with Chapter. They reveal what's really happening inside your Medicare coverage, and they show you the better options that your insurer won't tell you about. Now, one of our viewers, she said, I thought my Medicare plan was just fine, but Chapter showed me I was overpaying. So let me ask you right now, are you settling for good enough? Or are you joining the thousands who have already upgraded? Now, most people, they're dialing the phone number right there on the bottom of your screen right there, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. Phone number is 909-563-8279. Tell my friends over at Chapter that Ron says hello. So here's where the social media really kind of twists the knife, okay? You've probably already seen the viral posts saying something like 2 SSI checks in October, double money. Don't fall for it, guys. That second October deposit is nothing more than November's check arriving early. So there's no windfall. There's no surprise bonus. It's just the calendar shifting. That's all it is. So here's the danger. People believe the hype. They end up spending both their Social Security or both their SSI checks in October, and then come November, they're broke. Now, I've seen this play out over and over again and again and again, and it's heartbreaking. Families are forced into payday loans and food banks and desperate measures, all because, they got some incorrect information. The insider fix, though, budget like the October 31st deposit doesn't even exist. Oh, and I wanted to tell you guys about this Medicare Flex card over at Chapter. I left the phone number down below. Look in the description of this video. Look in the pinned comment. There's a phone number for Chapter. There's a link for Chapter. I want you to call them up, and I want you to ask them about this Medicare Flex card, which is on their website. And it looks like, depending upon your Medicare Advantage plan, you could be missing out on $400 to $1,000 of extra benefits annually. So just call them up. It's free. It's a free call. Just ask them, hey, Ron mentioned something about a Medicare Flex card. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? That's all. Anyway, I don't want you guys to not know about that benefit that exists and that you could possibly qualify for. So anyway, budget like the October 31st deposit doesn't even exist. Treat it as November's check, because this is exactly what it is. It doesn't matter. It's coming on October 31st. That's your November's check. Okay. So anybody who's telling you otherwise is selling you a lie that could put your entire household at risk. So, all right, now that we've said that, let's go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off, guys, because everybody wants to know about the COLA. Early projections for the 2026 cost of living adjustment sit around 2.7 to 2.8%. Now, on paper, that means that the average retiree could see about $54 more per month. Sounds good, right? Wrong. Here's the catch. Medicare Part B premiums are climbing, and they could easily wipe out most or even all of that increase. So this is the trap that so many people don't see coming. You could get, you get told that your Social Security is going to go up, but by the time the Medicare deductions hit, your check feels the same or even smaller. This is why it's important to call Chapter to make sure that you're on the best plan so that you can maximize how much you're getting and you can reduce how much you're having to pay. So now there is a safeguard here, okay? There's the hold harmless provision. So this rule basically says your check can't go down just because Medicare went up. But let's be honest, guys, staying flat in the middle of rising grocery bills and rising housing costs, skyrocketing medical expenses, that don't feel like a whole lot of protection, does it? It don't sound like it. It sounds and feels more like suffocation. So here's a real insider fix. Don't count on COLA to save you. Budget conservatively. If you got a Medicare plan renewal notice that's sitting unopened on your counter, open that mail up tonight. Call Chapter and get their free advice on it, okay? Because failing to act now means that you're going to feel the squeeze in January, and then it's going to be too late to fight back, and then you're going to be stuck for like another year. So do not wait, okay? Now, I want to deal with another scare tactic that's dominating the headlines: government shutdowns. Comment government shutdown if you've been hearing the rumors about this. So every time Washington deadlocks, the fearmongers want to scream that Social Security is going to stop, that your checks are going to vanish, that you're going to get left stranded. Millions panic. Has anybody heard anything like this? Well, here's the truth about Social Security, and I want you to know the truth, okay? Social Security and Medicare are essential services. This means the checks are still going to go out, guys. Offices are going to stay open. The money keeps flowing. Even if the government shuts down, they're not going to shut down those branches of government. But listen carefully. Not everything survives a shutdown. So if you need a replacement social security card, that's covered or that's considered non-essential. Okay. So if you're applying for a work history printout or for a background check, those are considered non-essential. So here's where it gets dangerous. If your employer won't hire you without the card and you can't get it because of the government shutdown, now that's a crisis. But the insider fix is if you need documents, cards, proofs, records, don't wait. Just get them now. Get them before the government shutdown drags into October, because once the lights start flickering in Washington, D.C., you might find yourself locked out of opportunities that you desperately need. You see what I'm saying here? In other words, do not delay, do not procrastinate, handle it now while you can. So no, your benefits are not going to vanish, guys. But if you let the shutdown headlines lull, you could find out that, that you're end up being blindsided because you discover you needed something and then they're closed. So now this one kind of makes my blood boil a little bit, because this is hitting some of the most vulnerable people in the country. Overpayments. Anybody heard of these overpayments? Heard about the overpayments? Well, you've probably heard horror stories. People getting a letter saying that they were overpaid by Social Security and all of a sudden their entire check is gone. Well, earlier this year, under President Trump's administration, the SSA briefly allowed 100% of your monthly check to be withheld for overpayments. Now imagine waking up and your rent, food, medicine are gone. After massive pushback, they cut that down to 50%. But let's be real, losing half your income overnight is still very devastating, right? Especially when these so-called overpayments are often SSA's mistake anyway, and it's not even your fault. So drop a 1 if you think the SSA should be punished for their mistakes. Drop a 2 if you think that you should be punished for the SSA mistakes. Now, here's the insider fix, guys. Do not ignore those letters. You can appeal them. You can request a waiver. You can negotiate a payment plan. And if you can prove hardship, and most people can, you may be able to reduce the amount that they can claw back every single month. But you got to act fast. The clock starts ticking the day that the letter lands in your mailbox. If you delay, you may end up losing your options. So don't sit frozen in fear. Fight back. You have a voice, because if you don't, SSA will bulldoze right through your livelihood without a second thought. So while we're kind of on the subject of bulldozing, I want to talk about Medicare's annual enrollment window, October 15th through December 7th. Okay. This is the most overlooked time of the year, and yet it decides everything about your coverage for all of 2026. Here's the bombshell. Major insurers are canceling millions of PPO plans. Dental coverage is shrinking. Grocery card benefits are evaporating. Okay, guys, do not ignore these warnings. Okay, if you sit back and do nothing, you could wake up in January, on the 1st of January, and find that your doctor's not covered anymore. You can find that your prescriptions cost double, and that that benefit that you depended on is gone. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to pay very, very close attention to what I'm about to tell you, because while the fake news keeps screaming about distractions, the real revolution is actually happening in science and medicine. And President Donald J. Trump, he said it before, America's strength comes from innovation, not from bowing down to globalist failures. And this is exactly why today's video, sponsored on behalf of MindWalk Holdings, ticker symbol HYFT on the NASDAQ, is so important. MindWalk Holdings is unleashing a breakthrough that could shake the entire $100 billion drug discovery industry to its core. And folks, this is not hype. This is happening right now. Now think about this, okay? 90% of drugs fail. 90%. Billions wasted, years lost, lives on hold. Why? Because the system's broken. Slow, expensive, inefficient. Traditional AI has been tried, but it crumbles under the sheer complexity of biology. It's pattern matching guesswork. That's all it does. It's not actually creating real solutions. In fact, the pharmaceutical swamp has been stuck in the same rut for decades. But now, change is coming. Enter HYFT technology. In fact, the crown jewel of MindWalk. Imagine Google indexing the entire internet. Now, picture doing that for biology, okay? Google's already indexed the entire internet successfully, but I want you to imagine that same strategy for biology. This is what HYFT does. In fact, instead of staring at raw sequences like every other AI tool, HYFT maps meaningful structured patterns that connect sequence, structure, and function. No more black box nonsense, traceable, explainable, accountable insights. Just like President Trump brings transparency to Washington, and HYFT brings transparency to drug discovery. And it doesn't stop there. In fact, MindWalk's Lens AI platform, it's not just another AI platform model, it is a biological intelligence system. It connects over 25 billion biological relationships through retrieval augmented generation and knowledge graphs. Translation? Well, they can design better drugs, predict toxicity, and optimize therapies before the money gets burned up in the lab. Faster, smarter, stronger. Exactly how America should lead under Trump's America First vision. Now, here's the kicker. AI-driven drug discovery is expected to surpass $100 billion in the next decade. But most so-called AI biotech companies all talk, no action. They train these models, but they can't turn them into real clinical candidates. MindWalk is completely different. Why? Because they've married AI to real wet lab capabilities. That's execution, not speculation. That's leadership, not weakness. Now, this is why investors cannot ignore MindWalk. While others are chasing headlines, MindWalk has patents, proprietary IP, and partnerships with major biotech and pharma players. They're already delivering results. Now think about it, guys. Just as Trump is breaking records with tariffs and trade, MindWalk is breaking barriers in medicine. The winners in this fight will be the ones who can execute. And MindWalk, they're showing that it can. So now I want to talk about the hottest drug sector on earth, GLP-1 therapies, the drugs behind the Ozempic and Wegovy craze, okay? MindWalk isn't just tweaking them. They're using AI to design next generation GLP-1s from the ground up. Safer, more effective, optimized for patient comfort. This is amazing. We're talking about moving beyond daily injections into long-acting solutions, maybe even non-invasive patches. Now, imagine the political impact. A future where America leads the world in longevity medicine, while Democrats push chaos. Trump and companies like MindWalk are pushing progress. This is bigger than diabetes or weight loss. This is about shifting from trial and error to AI-powered precision design. MindWalk's HYFT and Lens AI platforms, they're scalable across oncology, autoimmune disease, rare disorders, vaccine, the whole spectrum, folks. So this is not just a company. This is a movement. So just like Trump's America First agenda, this is a bold reset of how the system works. Friends, AI isn't just enhancing drug discovery. It's about to completely transform it. And very few players are actually executing at this level. MindWalk Holdings on the NASDAQ under ticker symbol HYFT is one of those companies. In fact, this is why Big Pharma is watching. This is why smart investors are paying attention, and this is why this moment matters. President Trump is leading America into a new era of strength, and companies like MindWalk are proving that when America leads, the world follows. Now, just real quick but important note, this video is sponsored on behalf of MindWalk Holdings. I'm not a licensed investment advisor, and this should not be considered investment advice. Always do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions. Now, the insider fix is simple, but it's incredibly critical. You need to read your annual notice of change. Do not ignore that envelope that came in the mail. That packet in the mail that most people just kind of throw in the trash or they leave on the kitchen counter. How many of you guys like leave your bills on the kitchen counter and you just like stack them and you forget that they're even there? Or you write like you need something to write on and you just write on the envelope. Don't let this happen to that envelope, okay? That packet in the mail, do not throw it in the trash. This is the roadmap to whether you're safe or whether you're going to be in danger. Now, if you don't understand, you need to call a licensed advisor. You need to call Chapter. If you call Chapter, they will take care of you. In fact, it is a 100% free call for the Ron Yates community. I've left a phone number for Chapter down below. Do not ignore it, guys, because here's the situation. You need to feel right now that failing to act doesn't mean things are going to just stay the same. In the Medicare world, failing to act often means you end up losing. So I don't want to hear any sad comments. I don't want you guys emailing me, Ron, I wish I listened to you. Now they're telling me it's too late. Here's a warning. Right now it's not too late, but if you wait, it will be too late. Okay? I'm just saying. Okay? So now everybody who's been leaning on those grocery cards, brace yourself. The CMS program that allowed insurers to hand out grocery cards, gas cards, even utility cards, it ends December 31st, 2025. After that, the only way to qualify is if you can prove you have some kind of a chronic illness. And even then, the insurance company still holds the power to decide if you're worthy Yeah, I know. It sounds ridiculous, but it is what it is. So here's what this means in plain English. If you've been counting on that extra $200 or $300 a month for food, rent, or medicine, there is a good chance it's gone in 2026. Now, I could already hear the panic calls. Families asking why the card won't reload, why the balances are showing zero, why the program is disappearing without any warnings. Well, the insider fix is don't wait till January to find out. Call your plan right now. Ask if you qualify under the chronic illness carve out. And if you don't, start preparing today, because the worst position that you can be in is sitting at the grocery checkout, kids in the grocery cart, and then realizing that the lifeline has been cut. You see what I'm saying here, guys? And so while families are scrambling to keep food on the table, Washington is already fighting over the future of Social Security itself. So let's talk about the retirement age and solvency. Now, here's the official line, okay? If you were born in 1959, your full retirement age is 66 years old and 10 months. Now, starting January 2026, anyone born in 1960 or later faces a full retirement age of 67. But that's not where the debate ends. Commissioner Frank Bignano recently floated the idea of raising the retirement age even higher than that. So after some fierce backlash, he walked it all back, saying it won't hit current retirees or near retirees, but the door has already been left wide open for future generations. Meanwhile, the 2025 Trustees Report warns the future trust fund is projected to run dry by 2034. Now, at that point, unless Congress acts, benefits face an automatic 24% cut. President Trump's administration says current benefits are safe and is focusing on efficiency, fraud protection, and possibly raising the income cap on taxable wages. But critics are arguing that these fixes may not be enough. Now, Insider Fix basically, hey, understand the difference between the annual earnings test and the monthly test. File strategically, don't leave checks on the table, and know your timing. Because while Washington fights over the math, you're the only one who's going to pay the price if they make the wrong move. So the situation is this: future retirees could be staring at much harsher rules than anyone alive today, unless real reform passes. Now, this is not fear-mongering, it's just math. So let's go ahead and step aside the US for a second. If you're an American retiree that's living overseas, there's a ticking time bomb that you might not even realize exists. Now, if you know someone who's getting Social Security overseas, make sure to share this video with them, okay? There is a ticking time bomb that people who are living overseas may not know exists, may not realize it. The proof of life requirement. Every year, expats, they have to prove that they're alive in order to keep their benefits flowing to them. Now, in the past, this meant mailing a form across the borders and hoping it didn't get lost. But starting this year, there's this new option. You can actually complete the proof over the phone with a Social Security worker in the United States. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. Here's the problem. Most SSA employees don't even know that the policy even exists. So when you call, you get these blank stares, confusion, or worse, you're told to just wait for the form. So here's the insider fix, okay? Be patient but persistent. Tell them you already know about the new policy, okay? Have the policy code ready if you can, okay? Because one missed form, one drop call, one bureaucratic error, and your benefits stop. Now imagine you're living Portugal or Panama or the Philippines or, Indonesia, Mexico. I don't know where you might be living, right? But you're out of the country, you're overseas. Imagine you're living in one of these countries where the cost of living is way lower, but then you wake up and no deposit hit your bank account because SSA decided that you were dead on paper. That's the nightmare that you've got to guard against, okay? So here's another nightmare. Taxation of benefits. Now, way too many seniors think Social Security is tax-free, only to get blindsided when the IRS comes knocking. Here's the truth. Up to 85%, I'm going to say it again, up to 85% of your Social Security benefits can be taxable depending upon your income. President Trump did pass a change. It allows a $6,000 deduction for singles and a $12,000 deduction for married couples age 65 and older. Now, that helps, but it doesn't eliminate taxes altogether. So if you make $100,000 as a married couple, only $88,000 counts. Now, it sounds nice, right? But here's the catch. It could still push you into higher Medicare premiums 2 years later under what's called the IRMAA. Now, the insider fix Track your modified adjusted gross income, your MAGI or your MAGI. Track that sucker like a hawk, okay? Because every extra dollar of income doesn't just risk taxation. It could mean hundreds more in Medicare premiums down the line. Now, here's the kicker. Too many retirees, they hear the campaign promise, no tax on Social Security from the big, beautiful bill, and then they think that they're safe only to end up owing thousands of dollars. Don't fall for the slogans. Run your own numbers because the IRS doesn't care what anybody promised. You'll pay what the tables tell you that you owe, okay? Now, before I end this video here, guys, I want to run through some real world scenarios that come straight from people like you, right? These are the traps that we've seen over and over and over, the insider fixes that can save you thousands. Now, one viewer asked, if I were to sell my house, will it affect my Social Security? Well, the answer is no. Your benefits won't change, but here's a twist. If your profits are large enough, it could push up your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums 2 years later. That's the IRMMA, and it stings, okay? Now, another question, can I collect Social Security and unemployment at the same time? Well, answer is yes, absolutely. The two systems do not cancel each other out, but they don't assume that your state won't look at it differently. You need to always double check that. What about dependents, grandchildren, disabled children, spouses? Too many people end up missing benefits that they're entitled to. So if you're raising a grandchild and their parents are deceased or they're disabled, that child may qualify for benefits off your record. That money is money that most families never even realize that they can claim. And so, then there's a difference between SSI and SSDI. If you're on SSI, the welfare-based program, your state may add supplements. California, for example, they pay more because of the cost of living. But if you move out of state and, poof, all of a sudden that extra money disappears. People don't find out until they relocate and they find that their check is suddenly shrinking. Never assume, guys. Always file, appeal, because the cost of not asking is money that you're never going to get back. So anyway, October 2025 is not just another month. This is a turning point. By the way, none of this is financial advice. I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not a financial advisor whatsoever. If you need financial advice, investment advice, Social Security advice, absolutely call the SSA. If you need financial advice, call a financial advisor. I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. But, October 25 is not just another month. It is a turning point. The end of the paper checks, the 2-check myth, COLA battles against Medicare, overpayment clawbacks, disappearing grocery cards, and solvency questions that hang over every single future retiree. You can either prepare now, mark your pay dates, protect your deposit method, review your Medicare plan, budget for disappearing benefits, or you can just get blindsided like millions of other people will. Now, if you're smart, you will not get blindsided. You'll also call Chapter, phone number in the description down below. And Chapter's a free call. They help all of the Ron Yates community for free. So let me ask you, do you feel safer about your Social Security under President Trump's leadership? Or do these solvency warnings make you nervous? Drop your answer in the comments down below, guys, because your experience matters to me. And don't forget, this early October brings the official COLA announcement and the Medicare Part B premium hike. So the second that those numbers drop, I'm going to be back on here with the latest breakdown. So hit the like button if today's update gave you some clarity. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss what's coming next. Share this video with someone that you know who relies on Social Security, because October is not waiting and neither should you. We'll see you next time.